Justin. I'm one of the presenters of the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast.
Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm one of the presenters of the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast.
Hi, I'm Carl, and I'm sitting in the car, and I'm also a presenter of the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast.
So we've been asked to review September. There's obviously been 3 games in September and one quite big event that happened today, which I guess we might touch on at some point. To the games first. What was the first game in September, Peter?
The first game in September was against Rotherham away at the New York Stadium, and it ended Rotherham 1, Watford 1. Carl, you were at that game. What do you remember?
Pucker pies. They were lovely. We had nothing going forward. Stupid goal that we conceded. Didn't cut the butter with a hot knife that day.
Rotherham was after 4 minutes when the entire defence decided that Rotherham was the perfect place to take a holiday. Nobody else in the history of the planet has decided that Rotherham is the place to take a holiday. And we were 1-0 down after 4 minutes. The goal we scored was an absolute worldie from the very surprising left foot of Bio. Yeah, go on, Carl. Give it the big one. Go on.
It was on this video last time where you called him out the signing of the window. So come on, over to you.
Yeah, it was a great finish, fantastic finish. But he's not lived up to my expectations since then.
Let's go on to that great game, which was Blackburn Rovers 2, Watford 0, which was really, really appalling. Turning up, or rather not turning up at Ewood Park and simply capitulating.
I don't remember very much from that game other than I thought it was terrible. There's no highlights from that game to talk of, I wouldn't have thought. It's probably time to move on to the next one, isn't it?
Yeah, what you both said, we'll cover that one off, I think. Yeah.
The only other game is Sunderland visit to Vicarage Road, which was 2-2. We went ahead twice, but that wonderful defence that we articulated so beautifully previously also turned up. And for the last 10 minutes, and I have to say this, Rob Edwards did have a funny moment where he took off surely the star so far of September, and he only played about half of the games, was Keenan Davis. And he kept Sunderland occupied all game, took him off, and Sunderland just ran through. I mean, they just kind of pushed from defence into midfield into attack, and swamped us. And they could have quite happily come away with winning it, to be honest with you, in the last 10 minutes. And that being said, about making that change, we also didn't have a fullback on the pitch for the last 10 minutes, which is kind of an odd thing to do when you're defending a 1-goal lead with 10 minutes to go. Says a lot about the paucity in the squad, but also some of the questions that are highlighted about Rob Edwards in some other people's defences, but more of that later. So from September, it's either a D- or an E. It's been really very, very poor.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I think it's been... how many points is that?
That's 2 from 3 games.
2 from 3 games in September. Yeah. That's...
Two draws and a defeat. Woohoo!
Not good. So, Rob Edwards, did you say?
So what follows 2 draws and a defeat at Watford? Well, we're walking into international break time. So what that normally means is that any right-thinking, minded owner who is planning on making a change will do so immediately, so that the incumbent coach will have 2 solid weeks with which to work with their non-international squad. So what Watford do is leave it for 9 days and then go and basically go back to plan B, route 1. Let's fire the incumbent. So Rob Edwards today has been shunted out of the door after 10 games in charge, in 10th place, 2 defeats, a number of draws and 3 wins. He's not performed as well as we would have hoped. I think that's reasonable to say, but he really hasn't been supported at all, has he?
That's a big thing. That's a big thing for me.
Is it sacking territory? Probably not. There is a slight little wrinkle to that, which is the fact that we thought the sporting director had been asked to go this time last week. It had been kind of confirmed that he'd been asked to leave and that was it, and he was gone. And it now turns out that he's staying and the manager's going, or the head coach is going. So God knows what's going on at Vicarage Road. We held a Twitter space when we found out about the news. I think 500 people or 1,400 people, however many it was listening. No one came on and said that the board's made a sensible decision, which I think is telling. Most people are now so out that we were speaking to, so that tells its own story as well. It's been an odd day. I've got to say, it's been a very, very odd day. Did you guys... Go on, Carl, you have your say, and then maybe we'll have a quick game.
I'd finish on what you've just said there. I think we've been promised so much from our owners, and even been in the same room as Scott Duxbury at the club, who would suggest to us that Watford have seen the light and it will change the way that they do things. That's clearly not true. That's clearly a lie. We've done is revert back to type. We're a laughingstock in terms of how we manage or deal with football management at our club. I can't abide by this anymore. It's time for a change, I think.
That was definitely the overall consensus. I mean, for those people who don't follow Watford online, which will be most people watching this video, I imagine, the fan base has been split between those people who were already impatient with the owners, who had bought Watford a lot of success. We spent 6 years in the Premiership. A lot of people could see signs that the train was coming off the rails. And then you had the other camp who were wanting to give them an opportunity to put things right. And the transfer window, which of course closed at the very start of September, closed without us having the requisite players that you would have hoped that we would have had in place, even covering any positions, which meant that Rob Edwards' sides were almost by definition lopsided and ill-balanced all the time. The club owners have not done what they said they would do. And when they said they would do it, they came out in the press. Scott Duxbury, who is the CEO and chairman, said, "We will support Rob Edwards come hell or high water." And hell or high water has apparently come and gone because he's no longer here.
I mean, high water, it's, waist deep, really, isn't it? There's not really been anything to really think, oh, he's going to go. Of all the other previous managers, you thought, yeah, he's not got long. You kind of knew with some of them, but with this, this has come out of left field. I wasn't expecting this at all. So the last 12 head coaches appointed by Watford FC. I'm going to start with Jokanovic, and then we're going to move on to the manager after Jokanovic. And you got to tell me if he managed more or less matches than the previous manager.
Like it.
You like this? Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with Jokanovic. Jokanovic managed 36 games. Okay. After Jokanovic, Quique Sanchez Flores. Did he manage more or less games than Jokanovic?
Oh, that's in his first term, isn't it? That was more.
Term.
That was more. He had the full season.
Yeah, I'd go more.
Yeah, 41. So the next head coach after that, Matt Zari. Did he manage more or less games than Quique Sanchez Flores?
I'm going to say more.
I'm going to say less because we didn't have a cup run under him, whereas we got to the semi-finals under Quique Sanchez Flores first year.
It is less. He managed 41 games. Marco Silva, higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower.
Yeah. How many do you reckon he managed?
20 odd.
Peter?
18.
26.
26. Oh.
Okay, so we move on to Grazia. Now, obviously, he managed more. We know that. But would you like to hazard a guess how many matches Grazia managed for Watford?
64.
Peter?
I'd say about 66.
66 is on the nose, absolutely on the nose.
Boom!
And then we had Quique back. Obviously, less matches, but how many do you think he managed before he got asked to leave the ground again?
I think I know this.
Carl, what do you reckon?
I don't know, like 14?
I think it was 12.
It was 12, yeah. It was 12.
Fucking hell.
12 games. It's embarrassing, isn't it? So Mr. Pearson came next, Nigel Pearson. Obviously more matches, but how many more matches? How many do you reckon he managed, Carl?
I've got a suspicion this is low 20s. 22?
Peter?
19.
You're on the money, Carl. 22.
Oh, well done.
Vladimir Ivic was next. How many matches did Vladimir Ivic have as Watford coach?
I don't think he managed any games. He bored the hell out of me for
yes.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking.
He made me sleep a lot.
Yeah.
For about 18, I'd say.
18, Carlos?
Yeah, 21.
It's 22, actually, the same as Pearson. Same as Pearson. Zisco Munoz, or however you pronounce his surname. More matches, but how many more matches? How many did he manage for Watford?
He had that whole season, then he was there for a little bit of the
51.
League, wasn't he?
51.
That's a good shout. I'm going to go 45.
You're going to be very surprised.
It's not going to be 50. It's going to be about 30 odd, isn't it?
It's 36.
Yeah.
36 matches. Yeah. Claudio Ranieri. How many matches did Claudio Ranieri have as head coach of Watford?
Too many.
Too many is a good answer.
This has been like forced into your own personal nightmare.
It is, isn't it?
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's awful.
19.
Low, isn't it?
19, Carl?
Oh, yeah. 16.
14.
Oh,
it felt like 19.
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
How many matches?
Goes from bad to worse, doesn't it?
Roy Hodgson have in charge of Watford.
18.
Peter?
It felt like 107.
It did.
But I imagine it would be about 20.
Carl was right with 18. And then Rob Edwards, obviously, 11. So that is
11,
pretty poor, I would
It's
say.
a poor read, isn't it? It is. I mean, if it was a book, it wouldn't be up there as a bestseller.
So there we are. So Slaven Bilic then, how do we think he's going to get on? Obviously, we've only known him to be the head coach for the past sort of 4 hours. So we did actually put a poll out on Twitter. And to see how long Watford fans thought he was going to be a manager for. I'll just find that. But while I'm finding that, your thoughts?
The options that you gave people were 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, or 12 to 18 months.
That's right.
And most people came back and said, you spent the word weeks wrong.
Days, I think the thing is, well, he's been given an 18-month contract, so it seemed right to divide it in 3 like that. We've had 225 votes so far in just under or just over 2 hours. 76% of people think he's only going to be in a job from 0 to 6 months, 19% 6 to 12 months, and 5% 12 to 18 months. They are the optimists of the group because, I can't see him staying for that long.
I know he done all right at West Ham. I think he had a half-decent spell at West Brom, but got sacked. Croatia manager as well he was at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think if we're expecting him to come in and push us into the top 2 straight away, we're very much misguided because I think there's a lot of work to do in that squad. And if he doesn't, if he hasn't got us in that top 2 by, let's look at Christmas, just for argument's sake. We're in September now. Let's look after Christmas. If we're not in that top 2 by then, he could be out of a job quite comfortably here.
You've got a month of World Cup there. So January might be fairer.
I'll even say that'll probably be his fault as well. That'll be Slaven Bilic. The club will go, well, sorry, but no excuses. Out you go. What must Elton John think tonight over that decision?
I think
honestly,
the other thing,
I'm mesmerised by it.
Was it Einstein who said that the definition of madness was doing the same thing several times or over and over again, expecting a different result? At what point do we go, right? Who's picking these managers? Who is actually in charge of picking these managers? Because it's not working. Whoever you're picking is not changing anything. So we now have to look at who's picking them. And we have to look at the top. And I think that is probably why today we saw quite an outpouring of anti-Pozzo sentiment on the Twitter space that we did, because the initial reaction was shock amongst the fan base. And it was, well, I'm now really shocked about this. I'm really unhappy about this. And now I'm, like I said, previous managers, I mean, you just knew they were going to go. Ranieri he stayed too long. We were trying to get him out of about 4 games, I think. Xisco last year was clearly out of his depth, although arguably we might have done as well as we did or better if he'd stayed.
As well as we did,
Who knows? So at some point we have to start looking at who's appointing these managers and question them, because I on this occasion, I don't think it was the manager at fault. And this has come out of left field and totally, not me, certainly. Anyway, there you are. That's us. Do not scratch your eyes. Please check out our socials and our YouTube channel and everything else. And we'll see you for the October one. See you later.
Hi, I'm Doug McCready from the WTOL podcast, and these are my views on QPR's performances over the last month. It's been a bit of a strange month, obviously, with the passing of the Queen and games being called off, and obviously we've only had the 3 games played. So there's not a lot to talk about this month, but we've had a bit of a mixed month. We've had a win, a draw, and a loss. So kind of can't really tell what's going on with our form at the minute. Unfortunately, I had a loss to Swansea away. Tough place to go, and we just didn't turn up, and they did. And it was one of those games where I think a few decisions went against us, but I'm not blaming that on the referee or anything. We just weren't good enough on the day. Then bounced back from that, 2-0 winning away to Millwall. Thought we had a really good game. Team did really, really well. Scored some good goals. Chris Willock and Elias Chair pulling the strings again, as always, our most influential players. And then we had a 0-0 draw at home to Stoke. It was one of those games where we had a lot of the ball, had a lot of chances, and we just weren't clinical. We just didn't take any chances. And as we all know in this league, you've got to be ruthless in front of goal, and unfortunately we weren't this month. Again, our star man at the minute, it's like Ilias Chair has really like stepped up his game this season, and he hopefully is turning into the kind of number 10 we hoped he would be. He's scoring, he's getting the assists, he's showing some consistency. So fingers crossed that's how his form continues for coming up the rest of the season. And I'm looking forward to our games in October. So we've got a few games before obviously the winter break. So looking forward to what's coming. All right, cheers guys. Thanks.
Howdy peeps, howdy folks, how you doing? I'm here to represent Preston North End for the monthly review on the channel. Thanks for having me. So our monthly review, this one's going to be a lot shorter than last month because we've only played 3 games in September because our Bristol match got postponed for obvious reasons, of course, with the death of the Queen and all. But in terms of our monthly review for this month, it's not exactly been a fantastic one for the North End. We've had 2 losses and a draw, so it's going to be difficult to actually fish out many positives because we've had some decent performances throughout this month, don't get me wrong, but we're still making the same errors that we were making last month. We're lacking the quality up front, we're lacking a lot of the ambition that we need as well. I think we're lacking a lot of chemistry between the boys as well, which is a massive shame. And overall, we're just not quite ready for taking on this league yet because this manager's style of football clearly doesn't suit these lads, and we needed more lads to come, but we can't get those lads, and it's a big shame. So that's very unfortunate. But for the most part, I think for a standout player this month, I'm going to have to say Ali Mccann, because Mccann has just been absolute quality all month, all season for the time that he's had on the pitch. He's been one of our most creative and influential players, despite not scoring a goal. But he's definitely wanting to get there, and it's ridiculous that he's sometimes benched because he's one of our best players, and I can understand why the manager was booed for taking him off against Sheffield. Another standout player, if we're talking about our new signings, which one's been the best this month, I'm going to go for Alvaro Fernandez maybe, because we've conceded a goal in every game this month. We've conceded a total of 4 goals this month. And Alvaro's not played many minutes for us this month, but for the minutes he has played, he's been fantastic, especially against Sheffield. So to see him not get many minutes is a massive shame, which is unfortunate, but what can you do, I'm afraid. I think overall, this month we haven't been the definition of quality, we've been the definition of confusing, if anything, because you've got a team that's so, good at the back and can be really good in the middle, but up front we're just utterly terrible. We can't utilise the quality that we actually have in the squad, and I don't know what's stopping us from doing it, but there must be something. So it's very unfortunate, really, that we're in the position that we're in at 15th place, because we started the season really well with not conceding goals, but even though we're not scoring goals either. So it's a big shame, really. But if you want to use the excuse Alan Brown made, we're only 3 points off the playoffs, which, for considering the position we're in, is not terrible, but we can't be using that as an excuse because that's not relevant. I don't think it really isn't. But for a month in review, I think things need to change going forward, because we've got Sunderland at the start of October, and our first home game is then West Brom and then Norwich away. Those are 3 difficult games because Sunderland are doing well, West Brom are probably going to score a few past us, and Norwich are second to the top. So it's going to be a very, very tricky one for us at the start of October. It's only going to get more tricky as we face teams like Huddersfield and Stoke, which, fair enough, we should be the favourites to win, especially against a team like Middlesbrough at the end of the month, but we can't count on it, and we've got to play in our most heated match in October as well against Blackpool, and if we lose that match, then all hell's going to break loose, and there's going to be calls to sack the manager. So if anything, things need to change and fast for the North End, because we really, really need to sort this out, because it's not going well for us. We are probably the most confusing and boring team in the league right now, despite everything that we've done to work ourselves up to quality. So yeah, things need to change. That's my monthly review for Preston North End, because there's not a lot to say other than sort it out. So that's very unfortunate. But regardless, I've been 8-Bit Preston. Thanks for tuning into the Preston section, and make sure you subscribe to the Real Jack Army as well. Thanks for hosting me, fella. Appreciate it.
Hi guys. This is the 3rd review of the season so far that I'm going to be doing. It's a little late, me sending it across due to personal reasons, which I won't go into just yet. So September has been an interesting month for Reading. We've had 3 games, we've won 2 of them and lost 1. It's been interesting. I think, to be fair, we're 3rd still in the Championship with 18 points. I still can't quite work out how or why. But my thoughts on it are it's very early in the season, keeping feet nice and on the ground. It's just nice to be picking up the points now so that we don't have to worry about relegation. But it's still the thing of the season is survival. Best and worst moments, only 3 games to pick from, so it's quite easy. For me, the worst moment is obviously the 3-0 defeat at home to Sunderland, where we've been outplayed, outclassed, outfought, outbattled. Well done, Sunderland, superb. We were shocking. It was so bad. But then the best part of the month, I think, is where we've then bounced back and we've beaten Wigan. Because when you consider it was 7-0 going into playing the 3rd promoted team, we've been beaten 4-0 by Rotherham and 3-0 now by Sunderland. We haven't scored against the newly promoted teams. And I said at the start of my videos that the games that are important, the ones we need to win, are against the promoted sides, and we'd lost 2 of them. So to go into the Wigan game and win, just put a little bit of a karma on it, to be fair. But no, it's been a weird month with results, but I'm happy with what we've done so far. Looking at the rest of the Championship, the way it's shaping up, again, I'm going to mention the 3 promoted teams. You've got to give them credit. At the start of the season, a lot of people's bottom 3s involved Wigan, involved Rotherham, involved Sunderland, and the 3 of them are outperforming everybody's expectations, and you've got to give them credit for that. Sunderland outplayed us, Rotherham outplayed us, Wigan were good in parts in their game with us, but Wigan are in 12th, Rotherham are in 8th, and Sunderland are in 5th as we speak, and it's superb for them as we go into this international break. So we're looking forward to October. We've got a very, very difficult October coming up, with some big games with Norwich, Burnley, Huddersfield, who we play at the weekend. So it is going to be pretty good. Going to end on one note. As of the whole country this month, we want to send our deepest and sincere condolences to the royal family for the loss of Her Majesty the Queen. It was such a sad event. Unfortunately for me, not the only loss recently. So yeah, it's been tough on an emotional front, but we send our deepest condolences to the royal family, and long live the King. And we'll see you next month for October's review.
My thoughts on the current league table. Well, I think it's no shot that Sheffield are the top with the team that they have, and obviously they was in the Premier League just a few years ago. But one that's really shocked me is Reading and Rotherham. Of course, Reading unfortunately beat us 1-0 the other day, but the way they started the season is sensational. And of course, Rotherham, they were second to us in the Championship last season, and they were League One, and of course they started the season sensationally despite being protected to finish second bottom to bottom. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the league, on the current league stances. Our best signing of the window has been Nathan Broadhead, because yes, he spends a lot of time on the bench, but when he comes on, he offers a lot to the team, a lot of movement, a little bit of pace, and of course he's got a goal or 2. So this month, our best moment was when Callum Lang netted that goal to make it 2-1, because remember, this Huddersfield side, yes, they've lost 2 of the best players, but this is a team that are in the playoff final this season, on the verge of making Premier League football, and to beat them at their home, considering where we was last year, is nothing short of sensational. So that's our best moment. The worst moment, this was in August, but it's just losing 5-1 to Burnley. I know Burnley were a Premier League outfit last season, but to lose 5-1 in any game isn't good. Wigan's current league position is 12th, and my thoughts for that is I'm quite happy with it, because we're one of the ones that protected to just survive relegation. So therefore, it's been a good start by Wigan Athletic so far.
Well, we had a good start to was it September? We beat Stoke 2-1 at home. That was quite a good result. Then we lost to Sunderland at home. Sunderland was very good that night, and their third goal was just incredible. And then we went to Wigan and won 1-0, which was a good away performance. I think Andy Carroll signing until January will get us enough points, but I still think we're in a relegate. The key is to stay in the league, but we're looking good at the moment. But Andy Carroll's going to help with that. And the league table really is looking as it should be. Sheffield United top, Norwich up there. Watford have struggled a little bit. Luton's shot back up. Coventry are really struggling, but I was expecting that. Huddersfield as well, I was expecting them to be down there. Birmingham, I was expecting to be down there. So it's all quite good, really. And yeah, that's it, really.
Hello, this is Nathaniel Whitto from the To Hull and Back podcast, doing a little September review for our month, and it's been a fairly terrible one, a very short one, but we've conceded 8 goals in the 3 games and not scored any at all, and of course ended with a 3-0 defeat to Swansea City. So I remember the August review was quite optimistic, but it's been such a bad month that in this just at the end of the Swansea match and the last match we lost 3-0. Shota Arveladze looked like he might be on the way out. We might have got a new manager during the international break. However, it seems he's going to be given that 2 weeks to sort of rebuild and maybe go again and play more like we did in August. I think that's probably the right decision. I think it's a bit too early to sack him, but it has been a very poor month. Could have been a whole lot different. We had big chances to score against Sheffield United, and we didn't take them. Then we lost that game 2-0, and then Stoke as well, which was a very bad performance, and the performances just got worse. Sheffield United was a bit okay, and then Swansea was defensively as well diabolical at times, especially the second and the third goal. So I guess the best moment, or the worst moment, was like everything. That's probably the second goal we conceded against Swansea, and just a terrible mix-up at the back. That was the worst moment, and the best moment might have been when that game was over, because it meant the month was over and the misery stopped. So we've got a reprieve before a big match in front of the Sky cameras against Luton Town next Friday, once the international break is done. So a very terrible start, or really, to the season for Hull City. A very terrible month. No goals, no points, and I believe we are 20th or 21st in the table. We shouldn't be that low at all with the squad we've got, so hopefully October is a whole lot better.
Oh, the Baggies in September. Where do I start? This is Jeff, your West Brom supporter here in South Florida. Well, for me, the low light is probably flying all the way over to watch the game at the Hawthorns, which was the highlight of my life, obviously, but then watching us blow the game to Birmingham City in a derby. Not a high point. Although the beer was good before the match and the pies were very nice. As you can see, I've eaten some of those. Highlights, probably the performance of Brandon Thomas Asante, some of the other free agent signings we've brought in, Roger. Also the performance that continued of Swift and Wallace. Lowlights, pretty much the entire month of September. Our other highlight might be the international break, because at least we're not playing. So we're near the bottom of the table. We're hoping things will get better for next month. I have faith. I don't know why, but I have faith. We'll see what happens. Up the Baggies.
Hello everybody, my name's Darren. I am the host of the Three at the Back podcast. You can find us on Facebook and Spotify, and I'm also a Reading fan, where you can find us third in the championship table. Completely unexpected from my point of view. I think that I speak for most Reading fans when I say that. I think we were expecting to be down the other end of the table, fighting relegation again this year. Transfers wise, we haven't really done a lot of business on deadline day specifically, although we have brought back Andy Carroll for a second stint, who did reasonably well for us on the first time around, albeit he only had 10 games to make an impact, and this time around he's potentially going to have 30 plus, barring any injuries that we know is plagued his career up to this point. But yeah, hopefully he'll be able to have a much bigger impact for us this time around. In terms of kind of championship in general and any kind of surprises so far this season, or certainly within the month of September, I think I'm very surprised to see West Brom and Middlesbrough struggling, and you could probably argue that they're in a position where Reading probably were expected to be, and vice versa. We're up in kind of third, where you would probably expect West Brom and Middlesbrough to be. Being, we're the only team that have yet to put a draw up on the board as well. We're very much an all or nothing team. So we're either winning or we're losing, and to be third with a -4 goal difference as well probably tells its own story. Moment of the month so far for me definitely has to be the 2-1 win over Stoke. It was a great way to respond to the 4-0 thrashing at Sheffield United. And that's kind of set the tone for this month as well, albeit again thrashed by Sunderland at home 3-0, but picking up wins against Millwall and Wigan. Looking forward to the rest of the season and seeing where it goes, and hopefully we can maintain this run and we'll be at the right end of the table come May.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are on our review of Blackburn Rovers, my football team, for the month of September. So at the beginning of September, we'd played 6 games, having won 3 and lost 3. At the end of September, we've played 10 games, won 5, lost 5. We just don't seem to be able to get any consistency. We started off the month with a game against Blackpool, and to be fair, we played extremely well. Blackpool just couldn't cope. They just didn't know how to play against us. We only won the game 1-0, but to be fair, the result didn't really show how dominant we were of that game. And we had a couple of young players playing there. Adam Wharton, who we have his older brother, Scott Wharton, who has already played several times at the back for us, came in for his first game. Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. The lad won the Man of the Match award on his first game, which you're thinking, well, at the end of the day, for you to come and do that on your first game, fair play to you. But then, come back to our own ground, Bristol City's next game, we're all up for the game, here we go, let's get a bit of consistency going, and we were awful. We were absolutely awful. I just don't understand how the teams can go from one performance, a real dominating, to a performance like they did. Maybe it's the style of play we played against, maybe it's home, maybe it's away, I'm not quite sure. But Bristol City just outplayed us in every department. They seemed to run harder than us, they seemed to pass crisper than us. They were just dominant, and we were awful. So what then happens next? Watford, home. Ex-Premier League, we're thinking, this is going to be a long day. This is going to be a long, long game. And we were brilliant. We absolutely played them off the park. We just seem to have a completely different attitude towards the game. And you just don't understand where it comes from. So you think, oh, that's all good. Next game, Luton away. We were awful again. I can't believe the difference in the team. In fact, I think, if anything, I know I slated our performance against Reading the last time I did a review, but I really think this one was, it was dire. I just, from the first minute to the last minute, it was just unbelievable. We just didn't have any cohesion. We haven't been helped by injuries. I mean, we had poor Travis playing at right back instead of his midfield role because he was so short of players at the back. So maybe once we can get players back, and maybe this international break has given us the opportunity to get a couple of the injured players up and running again. We've had a couple of lads playing the under-21s to try and get fit for the team, and maybe we can get that consistency back, because that's where we need to do. We need to get some consistency. Looking at the table, we've got Sheffield United at the top, and I think I did say last time on my review that I did think they were going to be one of the outstanding teams of the season. We've got Norwich second, who after, I'm not sure whether they lost the first 3 games or not, but have just put a run together that deserves to be where they are. I always thought Norwich would be there or thereabouts. Third place, we've got Reading, who, again, set off well. They've won one, lost one, won one, lost one, a bit like ourselves over the last month, but are still there and, you know, all doing it on credit. All credit to them. And then we've got Burnley, who, again, I think are going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. Not sure whether they're going to challenge the top two, but I'm certain they're going to be third, fourth, maybe, certainly in the top six, I would think. And then we've got Sunderland, who are now managed by Tony Mowbray, our old manager, and good luck to him. He did, for me, really good job at Blackburn. I can understand why he's gone there. One of his problems at Blackburn was that he was having to do a lot of travelling from home, didn't want to move, and found it really difficult with having a youngish family, that he weren't spending much time. Bit surprised at the Sunderland manager leaving. He got them promoted last season, but obviously felt that Stoke was a better opportunity. So we're seventh in the table, minus 2 goal difference, which shows how inconsistent we can be. Looking forward a bit, we've got Millwall next at home. I just hope we turn up for it. It's one of the games that, you know, you have to turn up for Millwall because they are usually a strong team. You know, we'll do another review at the end of October, and hopefully by then we've had a little bit more consistency. Looking forward to the next round of games, and let's see where we go from there. Thanks very much for listening. Hope everybody enjoys the football.
Hi Darren, good morning. Hi everybody. This is my review of Blackburn Rovers' season so far. It's been a very frustrating season. We are so Jekyll and Hyde. We're very inconsistent. We've won 5, we've lost 5, no draws. We won our first 3, we lost our next 3, we won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1. That is our pattern at the moment. It's so strange. In September, we were at Ewood against Bristol City, and I think we went 3-0 down in that game, I think, if I can remember, or at least 2-0 down, and we've managed to pull it back to 3-2, which in a way is a positive because at least we're scoring, but we just didn't play very well in that game by all accounts. Second game of September, we go at Ewood, was Watford, and it, you know, promotion, one of the promotion favourites, one of the top teams, and we absolutely, you know, play out of our skin. We win 2-0, and our defender scores a wonderful goal. And by all accounts, it's a scorpion kick. Wonderful. He's only scored about 10 goals in his entire career, and he pops up and does that. Fantastic. And, you know, yay, everything feels better. And then we go to Luton. Always a hard game, always a hard team to go to for us. They seem to be one of our bogey teams. And we absolutely, you know, lose and play awful. So, I don't know, we're just so frustrating. But I'm not worried. We're 7th at the moment. If you'd said to me, would you take 7th? Yes, I would. I mean, it's frustrating when we were top after 3 games, but at this point, table is not really important. You can jump lots of places at this point just with a win, a couple of wins. So it's not let's worry about the table at the moment. It's just let's try and build some momentum, which we don't seem to have. We're lacking that momentum. And I don't know whether it's naivety from the manager's point, because obviously he's a new manager. You know, new manager in the Premier League, Championship, I mean. Premier League, I wish. But, you know, I back him. I'm not panicking. I'm not worrying. It will come good sometime. You know, we play, you know, like I said, very up and down. But, you know, it'll come. He just needs time. You know, I'm not going to slug off the manager when he's only been in the job properly a month and a half. You know, I'm willing to give him a bit of time, get behind him. It takes time to build a football team. You know, it takes time. Best moment of the season, probably the scorpion kick. It was amazing. Really good. Our defenders that we've signed have done really well. Heim and Britton have been fantastic. I'm okay with the table at the moment. I'm very surprised that Middlesbrough are in the relegation zone. I mean, I thought under Chris Wilder they would thrive, and they don't seem to be. I'm also quite surprised that Reading are doing so well. But like I said, it's really early days at the moment. The teams you expect are sort of up there, Sheffield and Norwich. You know, you expect them to be up. Norwich are up there every year. I hope they don't get up because I'm just sick of them. They're such a yo-yo club. But yeah, the table, not a huge amount of shocks, really. You know, we will see. You know, at this point, anyone can get anywhere, really. But yeah, frustrated that there's an international break. But hopefully the players will have a little bit of a holiday. They'll come back refreshed, and we'll get our noses down, and we'll beat Millwall on the 1st of October. But who knows? That's a really tricky game, isn't it? We'll see. I suppose I'll do a video at the end of October and update you with that. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, but hopefully this has been helpful, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Alright, I'm James, I'm a Middlesbrough fan. Just summing up our season in September. It's not been the greatest that I've expected. A full house of points, being 3 home games. But we disgraced the shit against Cardiff the first half. We've also just got a new scout, which I don't understand, as we have to wait till January anyway. So I'm hoping things go well then. We've got 8 games in October, so I'm hoping we can get right back up there, because being in third bottom is not great. Whether Wilder's still there in the season, we'll have no idea.